By the time Pompeius Magnus and Catulus Capitolinus successfully concluded the rebellion of Marcus Aemilius Lepidus, Rome, unable to take even a single breath, was forced to turn her immediate attention towards Hispania. The proconsul, Metellus Pius, had not only failed to defeat the Marian rebel, Quintus Sertorius, but had been completely chased from the province by Sertorius as well. Rome was quickly losing her foothold in Spain. After his victory at Messina, and the death of Marcus Junius Brutus, Pompeius set his legions down on the outskirts surrounding Rome. There, he made one excuse after another for not disbanding his army. Although he made no threats, direct or otherwise, towards the city herself, it was clear to the Senate that Pompeius Magnus wasn't going anywhere until they agreed to send him to Hispania. The motion was finally put to the Senate by ex-consul, Lucius Marcius Philippus, who was a sullen supporter and ally of Pompeius. Philippus reminded the Senate that Pompeius was still in possession of the special imperium and propraetorial powers which had been granted him by Catulus as a result of the Senatus Consultum Ultimum. Pompeius clearly wanted the posting, and most of the Senate, unhappy with an army camping on the outskirts of the city, were ready to be rid of him. Finally granted senatorial approval to assist Metellus Pius, Pompeius levied enough legions to bring his total army up to 30,000 men, along with 1,000 cavalry. The size of Pompeius's army, combined with the forces under the command of Metellus Pius, demonstrated just how important it was for Rome to defeat Quintus Sertorius. Pompeius marched his army to Spain by way of Gallia Narbonensis, where several Gallic tribes had also rebelled against Rome. Pompeius quickly put down these rebellions, and subsequently opened a new path through the Alps, which would allow Rome's armies to travel to Spain much quicker than before. When word of Pompeius's imminent arrival reached the ears of Metellus Pius's army, his men, labored and exhausted, renewed their hope that with the two armies combined, things would finally be different. Many of the Spanish tribes, those who had followed Sertorius out of fear instead of loyalty, now felt confident to change sides, pledging their loyalty to Rome through communications with her Pontifex Maximus. When Pompeius entered Spain, he made a beeline for the town of Lauron. Lauron lay between Pompeius and the beleaguered army of Metellus Pius. Unfortunately, Sertorius anticipated Pompeius's initial response. In order to make certain Pompeius's army remained separated from the army of Metellus Pius, Sertorius arrived at the town of Lauron first, where he immediately began a siege. Pompeius, arriving with 30,000 soldiers, many of whom were veterans of Sulla's campaigns, approached Lauron confident of an easy victory. He set up camp enticingly close to Sertorius so as to provoke the Marian into attacking him. But Sertorius did not take the bait. Instead, Sertorius ordered small raiding parties to harass Pompeius's foragers, but with strict instructions to leave the brunt of the army alone. After many days of this, and his men unable to properly forage for food with which to augment his supplies, Pompeius moved his foragers to more remote areas, further from the main camp. This was exactly what Sertorius wanted. During the night, Sertorius ordered 20 cohorts of troops, along with 2,000 cavalry to lay an ambush for Pompeius's foragers. 10 of the cohorts were light infantry, the other 10 were made up of heavy infantry. When Pompeius's foragers, laden down with supplies, attempted to return to camp, Sertorius's light infantry fell on them. Pompeius's foragers tried to form battle lines, but they were immediately rushed by Sertorius's heavy infantry, who charged from within the trees. When Pompeius's men finally gave up, dropped their supplies, and ran for the safety of the camp, Sertorius unleashed his 2,000 cavalry to ride the men down. As soon as Pompeius got word of what was happening to his men, he ordered a full legion to cover their retreat. Pompeius's legion immediately encountered Sertorius's cavalry, who they successfully pushed back until they fell from sight. Then Pompeius's legion faced Sertorius's infantry. As the Pompeians formed battle lines, Sertorius's cavalry, who had circled around after disappearing from sight, attacked the Pompeians from the rear. Just like the foragers had already done, Pompeius's legion, under attack from the front by infantry, and from the rear by cavalry, broke ranks and bolted for the safety of the camp. As the Pompeians fled, Sertorius's massacre continued. Pompeius made preparations to draw out his entire army in order to rescue his men, but Sertorius chose that moment to march the remainder of his army onto the battlefield and form ranks. Pompeius was now trapped. If he turned his army in the direction of his falling men, Sertorius would hit him from the rear and easily defeat him. If Pompeius faced the battlefield, his retreating legion would be utterly lost and, with Sertorius's infantry and cavalry behind him, would still be forced to fight a two-sided battle, from which Pompeius could not emerge victorious. Penned up in his camp by Sertorius's army, Pompeius could do nothing but watch helplessly as 10,000 of his men were slaughtered. Sertorius then burned the city of Lauron to the ground. In the end, the only thing that saved Pompeius, and his now beleaguered army from utter destruction, was the timely and unexpected arrival of Metellus Pius's army. Though Sertorius had the advantage, he knew he could not defeat both Pompeius and Metellus. Sertorius withdrew from the field, allowing Pompeius to lick his wounds. Pompeius Magnus, who had boasted and begged for a year and a half to come to Spain in order to put a quick end to the Sertorian War, learned a very difficult lesson. Metellus Pius was not an inept commander, and Pompeius Magnus was not as brilliant as he imagined. This concludes the second section. Please stay tuned for the third section, describing the political rise of Julius Caesar, and the alliances which saw him climb to the top of Rome's political elite. Thank you for watching.